the most famous cake shop in Melbourne would have to be Beatrix Bakes. Natalie Paul makes the most sensational cakes. Vanilla slice. I love a vanilla slice. And today you're going to be making us these gorgeous little tarts.
These are fantastic and they can transport you through all the seasons. So you can change it from the figs that we'll do today to a strawberry, or pineapple's really beautiful with frangipane, peaches, poached pears. It's a beautiful undercarriage for all the fruits.
Fantastic. So we're going to be making these gorgeous little small ones, and you've already made your short crust pastry.
I have, yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to unwrap this. It's been resting for a little bit.
Yes. I love how you can see the speckles of butter in the pastry.
Yeah, so when those speckles melt, they'll pull apart, they'll puff up, and there'll be a beautiful flakiness to it, which I think is really gorgeous.
So this is a classic short crust pastry recipe. It'll be online, and you've also got this sensational book called Beatrix Bakes. All of these wonderful recipes you're sharing with the world now, which is great.
It's been such a delight to be able to teach people to make their own cakes at home.
Yes.
And sugar, when it's in like a nice cake with maybe like nice ingredients, it's not that bad for you as a sometimes treat.
Yeah, I like the sound of that. So what's the technique of rolling out your short crust pastry?
So make sure that the dough is cool and pliable, so it feels like Play-Doh, if you remember that as a kid.
Yep.
And make sure it's not sticking on the top.
And how thick does this pastry need to be? What's the optimum thickness for a little tart like this?
So the smaller the tart, the thinner the pastry is my golden rule.
Okay, yep.
And so it's about 3 millimetres, I would say. So you can get a little ruler out, but a nice thinness like that is perfect.
Right.
Now, to cut it...
A bucket.
A bucket. So sometimes cutters that you get in sets aren't big enough. So I like to use something I've got around the house that does a perfectly great job.
That's right. Never waste anything. There's always a use for it.
That is right. And if you don't have a bucket or the right size cutter, just roll it a bit thicker, cut it a smaller diameter, and then roll it out after you've cut it.
Great trick.
Beautiful. And then putting it in, just pop her in. So the trick is to pull it back a little bit and then push it back up against the side of the wall.
Right.
That way the pastry sits in the corners and then it won't slump when it bakes, and that will stop you having slumpy pastry.
Yes.
And so to trim it off, I just use my hand.
Fantastic.
Great.
Very nice.
Beautiful. I'm going to keep rolling these. Could you start my frangipane for me, please?
I would love to.
Thank
so
you.
I guess a classic frangipane.
It starts with butter.
Butter.
Yeah, because it's French.
French, of course.
So butter's the same. It can be cool and pliable to start off with creamy. You don't want it too melty or else it will be a bit slumpy.
Okay, so I'm going to measure that out. So about 140.
140.
Okay.
And that can go into the machine with the sugar.
So for those at home that don't know, what is frangipane?
Well, I always describe it like a weird cake batter because it's essentially the ingredients for making a cake, and almost the same process with creaming butter and sugar, adding eggs, and then putting in almond meal. The other great thing about frangipane is that you don't have to have a completely crackless tart shell. So if you've done a larger one and blind baked it and you've got a few cracks in it, doesn't matter because the frangipane's going to set beautifully inside it.
And let's not forget about the delicious almond flavour you get from it. I just love frangipane. So the lid goes on and we're going to cream this.
Cream it, not for too long.
And do I leave the motor on and then slowly add in the eggs?
Yep.
Okay, I'm onto it.
Great, so you've added the eggs, and I always describe adding the eggs like going to a restaurant and everyone arriving at the same time. If you force all the eggs into a butter sugar mix, it'll just split.
Right.
And so you want to introduce it slowly, get that first egg settled into the mix, let the mix recover, and then add your second and third eggs, and that's how you stop it from splitting.
I love your analogies. It makes sense because you don't want all the people at the restaurant to go at the same time because it's too much.
Too much, overload.
It's overload.
Then we're going to add all our beautiful frangipane aromats. We've got some rum.
Straight in.
Straight in.
Oh, dark rum.
Dark rum,
this.
beautiful. Gives it like a huskiness.
Yes.
Just a tiny drop, just like the drippiest drop, like tiny. It should be in the back seat, even the boot of the car. When you're driving the frangipane.
It's in the boot.
And then some vanilla paste, because it's just delicious.
Little vanilla bean paste.
And then we can add all of our almond meal as well, straight in.
Too easy.
And then mix it on low.
All right, lid on, and Just a gentle fold. That is done.
Great. So I've got some figs today and they're so beautiful, and I've just nicked the top of them off because I want to keep that really lovely elongated shape of them.
Okay.
And I'm just going to cut them open, and I'm going to let the figs tell me how many pieces they want to be cut into. Because sometimes it says 6.
6, okay.
6 today. And if you've got smaller figs, you can do maybe 4 pieces.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yep, lovely.
Great.
I love figs. I think it's one of those things where whenever I see it, either my neighbour's house or my friends, I'm like, oh, I've got to take some figs because they're just priceless.
They are, and they're so special and they're so fragile.
They
so
are.
you can't keep them for too long.
That's right.
And I love them with like even savoury applications. They're so beautiful. So I've spooned a little bit of my Frangipane in, not too much because I don't want it to overflow in the oven.
Yep.
And then I'm going to lay my figs out like they're on a big almondy bean bag.
Love that.
Just like, and then I take some lovely flaked almonds.
So then this goes into the oven on the hot tray.
On the hot tray.
What temperature?
About 160 to 170 in a fan-forced oven,
Yep.
and then for 30 to 40 minutes. So these are beautifully baked, and if I take one out and just have a look at the base of it, you'll see that it's nice and brown.
That's what we're
on
after.
the underside.
I can smell the figs.
Yes.
Smells so good.
They're so beautiful.
I just love how they spike out. They just cook a little more on the tips there, so they look quite dramatic.
That's right.
Beautiful. And I like the idea of using the tray, getting that hot first. I never do that, and it just makes sense because you want to get that base crispy. Very nice.
Great.
So I'm going to give you a knife, and I think we should have a taste.
Yes, I think we should.
Cut one in half, eh?
Beautiful.
Oh,
And you just got nice.
look at that. It is perfect. It's full of frangipane, full of fruit, and we've got a gorgeous tart base. Let's have a taste. Beatrix bakes, get there, and if you can't, make them at home so you can really taste your sensational creations. That is phenomenal.
Thank you so much, and also delicious for breakfast.
Oh, okay, I'll have this for breakfast too. I love this lady.